I call the County Commission meeting for May 20th to order. Commissioner Dawson, would you lead us in prayer?
Yes, sir. Our Heavenly Father, thank you for this beautiful day, and go with us tonight and make the right decision for all the people, the taxpayers in the county, and bless our kids and bless all the old people that's over 75, and hope they'll be here tomorrow. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, call roll, please.
Mr. Simpkins, Mr. Ledger,
Here.
Mr. McElwain,
Here.
Mr. Beatty, Mr. Dawson, Ms. Spicer, Mr. Buckner, Mr. Britt,
Here.
Mr. Petty,
Here.
Mr. Williams, Mr. Grove, Ms. Gray.
We did have a quorum. Commissioner Buckner's out of town, sends his regrets. First order of business is the approval of the minutes of the April 15th, 2024 meeting. Open the floor for motion. Motion by Commissioner Petty, second by Commissioner McElwain. Any questions, discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, vote by stating aye. Opposed? Thank you. Next time business is this is public comments, a public hearing.
Yeah, so you can ask if there's no one here.
We'll move her down to the, when she gets to the issue. Okay. No one signed up for public comments. The next item is committee reports. Commissioner Simpkins.
Yes, Miss Allison Harmon's here tonight. She brought a newsletter with her about our last meeting. It's a lot of good reading, and I'm gonna tell you, the 4-Hers and the leaders and Miss Allison, they all doing just a tremendous job. If you read through that from front to back, what all they've done, and that goes on from every quarter. So every quarter we get that again, and it's amazing how they can be with the kids and the things that they teach them, and we're proud to have them.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Simpkins. Thank you, Ms. Harmon. Appreciate you being here tonight. Next item is there's committee report, Commissioner Gray, the ad hoc committee on Humane Society.
Yes, I laid some information on everybody's, I guess, desk in front of everybody. Received this yesterday afternoon from Miss Carey. These are the figures that they have to date regarding the animal control. If you look at the second page, the dog animal control report, I was just looking at the numbers, and to summarize, 40% of the dogs brought in were from Dickson City and 60% were from the county. Cat animal control report, 24% was the city, 76% from the county. They did break it up by different areas of the county. If you're interested, for the Burns, Charlotte area, White Bluff, Van Leer, Sladen. She also has her list of euthanasia animals they had to put down, and then the adoption fees they've collected through the end of March. And I should have another report by the end of this coming quarter.
Thank you. One question I was asked by a member of the public, are they accepting county dogs right now?
I was just talking to the sheriff, and he was telling me that they're not right now, but I didn't know. I didn't know anything about that.
Sheriff, anything?
I understand they're not accepting any city or county dogs or dogs from the general public. But I believe under our agreement, if we have a vicious dog we need to pick up, we'll pick it up. If we have a dog we need to quarantine, they must quarantine that.
Is that what our agreement says? I don't recall the details. Mr.
It's my understanding. Well, here's how we manage it within the sheriff's office. If it's considered a nuisance dog, maybe it's getting in your trash, just running the neighborhood, goes on a list, animal control. If they open up, say, hey, we can take some stray dogs, then he'll go back and start picking those up in the order he received them. Backlog, I guess, for lack of better words. They say they're full.
I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot, Mr. Reagan, but is that what our agreement says?
Yeah,
I
so
know we're
let me-
sending them quite a bit of money.
Yeah, let me just read, and I just pulled the contract up, so I haven't read every piece of it here, but under the section that deals with the Humane Society's responsibilities, it provides that the Humane Society shall provide secure office space. It talks about that. And then it says, accept, house, feed, treat, care for, and be responsible for any and all domesticated or feral animals seized or captured by the animal control officers until such time as they are returned to their proper owner or adopted under the guidelines of the Humane Society. And then work and cooperate with the animal control officer to identify the owners of seized or captured animals within the policies established by the county before making the animals available for adoption to the general public. And our contributions to them, it says, are made in exchange for those services. And let's see. Yeah, that really is what addresses those services. And then to the point of the report provided by Commissioner Gray tonight, we were very specific in the exhibit to that agreement about the quarterly reports that are to be made within 30 days following at the end of each calendar quarter. And that written report is to be broken down by dogs and cats and is to provide the number of animals delivered to the Humane Society by the county that were on hand at the beginning of the quarter, the number of county animals delivered to the Humane Society during the quarter, the number of county animals adopted during the quarter, the amount received in adoption fees for county animals during the quarter, the number of county animals euthanized during the quarter, and the number of county animals that remain on hand at the end of the quarter. And so I haven't looked at the report that you have, but my understanding, I think from one of the questions at the last meeting is we had not been receiving those reports. And I haven't looked to see whether this report covers all those things.
Any questions, Mr. Reagan?
So are they in breach of the contract but not accepting animals or not?
It does appear that they have an obligation to do it in exchange for the or for the money that the county is paying to them. And so I don't see anything just on first blush here that gave an out to say that you can just say, no, I'm not going to accept them. And it may be true that they don't have space for it, but from the county's perspective, that's what we were contracting for.
Mayor, do we pay yearly or quarterly or monthly?
I think we pay quarterly on that.
Well, I think that my opinion is until they start accepting our money, our animals, that we need to stop sending quarterly checks until it's straightened out. That'd be my opinion.
Is that a motion?
That'd be a motion.
Motion by Commissioner Grant, suspend payment until we have they're back in compliance. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Spicer. Any questions or discussion on this?
Got one. I know, in the past, and this is part I don't understand. We have taken in, or they have taken in animals from other counties that get in a problem. And they don't have any problem coming up here with us. Can we go to those counties with our animals and say, hey, we're full. Can you help us out that way? I mean, I know we've done that in the past.
I'm watching the news this morning in Nashville's full. They just like Dickson. They're actually plumb full. They ain't taking no more. And also when we do this, what you're talking about, holding back the money, Mayor, we're gonna be going right back into the same thing about building our own pound. Probably it's gonna be another whatever, but it needs to be something done about that. I agree with you.
It's a motion by commission. Again, I appreciate the commission last year taking a lead on this, so we'll follow your direction on this. So we do have a motion, a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, call a vote. All in favor, vote by stating aye. Opposed? The payments be suspended. Ms. Gray, do you want to, your committee, have that discussion? Or would you like the sheriff to?
I will get in touch with Carrie and let her know. And I'm sure council, will you be sending any kind of letter or anything to the Humane Society?
Yeah, we can certainly do that.
Also, while we're on the subject, if fellow commissioners or the public at large, if anybody has any ideas on animal control measures that we can do as a county, please reach out to myself or Commissioner Dawson. We'd be very interested to hear what you have to say.
Thank you. Thank you.
My only point is we were entered this agreement so we wouldn't have this problem. The mayor had a plan set forth for somewhere around the same plan that the sheriff would take it over. And we all kind of agreed that, hey, look, if they're going to do it, take all of our animals and stay in compliance and take the money, that they would handle it so we wouldn't have to deal with this. That's my only issue with it. If they weren't going to be able to handle it, maybe we should go forward with doing our own countywide animal control.
I don't disagree.
Thank you. Any more conversation on this committee report and the motion made on this? I look forward to the will of the commission for your suggestions on this.
Our votes and everything should be like I'm fixing to give you a definition for why I voted. Because it was $100,000 more for the sheriff to take over than it was the Humane Society. So it didn't make sense to me for us to go in debt and do that when the Humane Society, I thought, would be the out. So apparently if they're not going to be, whatever, we're going to be forced to do that. But that's the reason, that I voted the way I did,
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other discussion? Yes, Commissioner Williams.
So how long has this been? Is this recent or has this been going on for a couple months or what?
Probably 6 to 10 days, maybe 6. So we track that. So I can give you those exact dates until that's lifted. Just so you know, if you wanted to prorate that, I guess you could.
We'll look forward to y'all's input when we get back together on June 3rd. Commissioner Gray, I know you were kind of taking the lead on this reporting. Is this the first report we've had since we entered this agreement last year? Or we had a report since then? We've been getting reports, I guess is my question.
We had reports last year. I don't know if they were every quarter. I'm trying to remember. They signed the agreement in June last year.
Right. They signed in May, the county signed in June.
So I know there were a couple reports. So I'll go back and look and make sure, but this is the first one that I've seen this year.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate your committee report. Thank you for your work. Next item of business is public hearings. The first is Amendment to Article 5, Section 5.042 R1 Residential District E, dimensional regulations by adding number 9 driveway standards. Mr. Darnell.
Thank you, Mayor. The first one applies to the R1 residential district. And basically what it says, in addition to Article 3, Section 3.090 of this resolution, all lots or parcels of land shall be required an access drive width of at least 20 foot in width, surfaced with an all-weather surface or dustless material from the road to the principal structure. What this will do, that will make all our residential districts the same. Most of them are all half-acre lots or less, so you're not talking a large distance from the road to the house.
On this, there have been some discussion and some calls from several of y'all. This was an issue I brought up. What we're seeing with all the work that y'all have approved and done on county roads, that driveways are coming out into county roads, and all the good work being done is harming the paving that's been done. I want to point out to you, and again, Mr. Darnell, to answer questions in detail, my understanding on this is it's not retroactive. It's when this is passed, it's going forward. So we're not asking anyone to go back and do something they haven't already done. on this, and that it's, I guess that's really the bigger point. So is that correct,
That
Mr.
is
Darnell?
correct. And usually what happens when we issue a building permit, one of the first things, the highway department goes out there and checks first to see if they need a culvert for the driveway. And if they do, they tell them what size. Then before a CO is issued, they go back and check it to make sure it hasn't been damaged or anything before we actually issue a final CO on it. So it is checked twice.
It's the public hearing portion. Do you have any questions for Mr. Darnell right now from the commission? Yes, Commissioner Simpkins.
On the residential, most of these roads lead out on a blacktop road, right?
Correct. Prime example would be like the ones that have been out there on Abiff Road. Those were rezoned to R1. So you're talking less than 70 foot from the edge of the road to most houses like that have a house and a garage. So you're talking, a distance of less than 70 foot. And we have, the R1, R2, and R3. This would make it consistent through all three.
Thank you.
Any questions, Mr. Darnell? This is a public hearing and no one signed up for this item to speak. Item number 2 is amendment to Article 5, Section 5.041, A1 Agriculture District, E, dimensional regulations by adding number 8 driveway standards. Mr. Darnell.
This is in the A1 district, which does cover the biggest part of the county. And it reads, all lots or parcels of land shall be required an access drive width of at least 20 feet, starting at the edge of the road, surfaced with a dustless material and all-weather surface. This shall extend at least 15 feet towards the principal structure as an erosion control measure to prevent debris from washing into the roadway. And then, like the mayor said, this applies only to new driveways going forward.
Yes, Commissioner Simpkins.
Now I've got some questions. What constitutes a structure?
It would be anything either agricultural or residential.
Hay barns, tobacco barns?
Correct. This would be basically any new driveway.
Does it matter if the road is level and where you're turning into is level?
That would make it where it don't wash. This is not going to be a case where it's going to help everything. You're still going to have issues where it does based on the slope of the driveway. It will wash into the road. But this, if your drive is flat or if it slopes down, this will at least help prevent some of it.
Next question. Does the road frontage that belongs to the county, will the county be responsible for their portion of the pavement or the concrete? Because all county roads have different road frontages. And maybe this road has 25 feet. And when you come out to it, maybe the road itself is 20 feet.
Mhm.
And is the county gonna pay for that 5 feet and the landowner pays for the 10 feet?
No, this would be on the property owner.
Next question. Does open farmland, like where farmers used to pull off the off the county road into a hayfield or cornfield or anything like that?
Basically, if the highway department gets a permit for a driveway, it would be that. A lot of them cases like that, nobody ever gets a permit on it.
All right. When a culvert stops up and has to be changed, county comes and digs it up. Who's responsible to put the asphalt or the concrete back?
At that point, the county would have to be.
The county would have to be.
Because it was already done. If the landowner's already done and paid for that, they're not going to pay to put another one in.
So we could be incurring some cost factors here then.
That is a possibility. But they replace culverts, in gravel and have to replace the culvert.
Yeah, but concrete.
It's going to cost more money.
Yes. And pavement too. All right, what about, we still have, I don't know how many, Jackie's not here, so I don't know how many miles of gravel road we still have in the county. So if a person builds a house on a gravel road and they have a gravel driveway, but they got to come down to the road and put in a 15 by 20 foot approach out to a gravel road, is that going to have to be done?
That would apply to them too, yes.
At this time, I'd like to send this portion of it back to our planning and zoning for another look and have some of these questions looked at and see what they you know, what their ideas are then. Because I think we're gonna put a burden on a lot of our landowners out here. In the county part, the residential part, that's up to the commission. If they think that's fine, but at this time, I'd like to send this portion back to the planning zone. I'm back out of motion.
We're in the public hearing portion right now, so it'll be back later in the meeting for y'all to vote on that. Any questions from Mr. Darnell?
Correct. Dustless surface, yes.
So it
Right.
don't matter. It's all the better for the road if my gravel goes out there, trust me.
Thank you. Any other questions from Mr. Darnell on this issue? Thank you. Item number 3, amendment to Article 5, add section 5.050, notice of zone change applications.
Okay.
Mr. Darnell.
This will be in addition to the public notice and posted requirements. It will be a direct notice by USPS certified mail return receipt requested to all property owners of lots adjoining the parcel or parcels that are going to try to be rezoned. This information will come from the most current Tennessee property data assessment as far as what the current owner is.
Any questions for Mr. Darnell? Thank you, Mr. Darnell. Item number 4, amendment to Article 3, Section 3.110, landscape and buffering requirements. A, amend Article 2, Section 2.020 by adding the definition of native plants. B, amend the zoning resolution to add Appendix 1, approved native plants, Tennessee. C, amend the zoning resolution to add Appendix 2, prohibit invasive plants, Tennessee. Mr. Darnell.
Okay, these changes here were designed to give more clarity. By adding the definition reads, natives are plants that evolved in place over geologic time and are distributed across the landscape largely in response to climatic episodes and adaptations to site conditions related to land formations. Specifically, they are natural elements of a regional landscape. The second would be the addition of Appendix 1, approved native plants. You had a copy of that. It's about 23 pages long and included over 700 approved species. The appendix number 2 was prohibited invasive plants. It was only 2 pages long and it contains 60 species. And you'll see a lot of them are everyday plants that people use all the time.
Any questions for Mr. Darnell?
I have one.
Yes, Commissioner Gray.
The exemptions for this are the single family dwellings and
Right.
mobile
It's
homes.
basically anytime you're going to have a site plan where you have to have some kind of buffer is what this will apply to.
Okay, thank you.
This will be the White Bluff Burn, no.
It is very similar to White Bluff, yes. In the county area, it would be, and mostly it applies to your commercial, somewhere where you have to have a site plan approved by the planning commission.
Any questions, any other questions, Mr. Darnell? We have a public comment on this one, on the hearing, unless I want y'all to ask your questions first. If not, Deborah Rosenthal of 4076 Highway 46 East of White Bluff is here to speak on this. Ms. Rosenthal, come up. You have 3 minutes.
Mr. Mayor, County Commissioners, my name is Deborah Rosenthal. My husband, RJ Comer, and I own Best Hope Farm at 4072 and 4076 Highway 47 East, across the street from Montgomery Bell State Park. I strongly support the amendments to the landscape ordinance before you tonight. First, they provide a clear definition of native plants. And second, they include appendices listing approved native plants and prohibited invasive species, which I drafted. These 2 appendices are simple to add, and they will make the ordinance much easier to enforce. They will also provide fair and unambiguous guidance for applicants. Incorporating native plants back into the landscape and prohibiting the introduction of more invasive species protects Middle Tennessee's native biodiversity. Every native plant we add back will not only make a difference here, but will also have far-reaching benefits in part by addressing the larger biodiversity collapse that poses a catastrophic threat to our food production. But this is a local ordinance, so let's focus on the local. There is strong community support for native plants in Dickson County. At Best Hope Farm, where we are restoring the historical ecosystems that were prevalent in Dickson County, we started with a 4-acre pollinator prairie recreation that fronts on Highway 47. In our first blooming year, the outpouring of support for what we are doing was truly surprising. People were posting about it on Facebook, and many people reached out to me to find out how they could incorporate native plants into their landscape. Last year, we started a Facebook page so we could share progress on our restorations with the community. By then, our restorations had grown to 25 acres, including a bona fide prairie remnant. We very quickly reached almost 1,000 followers and likes, and the vast majority live right here. A few months ago, we posted on Facebook that we would give away a packet of native seeds to anyone who wanted one while supplies lasted. In about 30 hours, we gave away 80 seed packets. I addressed all those envelopes. I am certain that we could have given away 80 more if we had more. We had done a seed giveaway earlier in the year and also had a very favorable response. Since we began Best Hope Farm, the awareness of native plants has been exploding. Lowe's and other Middle Tennessee nurseries are carrying far more species, and a new native plant nursery just opened in Pegram. There are even landscapers now devoted to native plant landscape design. The time for this ordinance is perfect. Finally, I was involved in drafting the ordinance when it first became before White Bluff. I think Commissioner Ledger, did you ask about White Bluff? Commissioner Dawson, the town of White Bluff has passed this ordinance. And I was very involved in the drafting of that ordinance, as well as I mentioned, preparing the appendices. If anybody's interested in the specific provisions in the ordinance or in those appendices, I'm happy to explain how I drafted them and some of the reasoning behind the ordinance. I consulted with several very prominent people in the Tennessee native plant movement in getting guidance on the ordinances, including Margie Hunter, who is the author of Gardening with Native Plants in Tennessee. She's also on the board of the Tennessee Invasive Plant Council. And I also consulted with Mike Berkeley, who's the co-owner of Grow Wild Nursery in Fairview. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you. Item number 5, R3 residential district revisions. Mr. Darnell.
Now, this version that you had, this did include the changes you'd asked for at the last time. It did go back to the planning commission, was approved. And what you have before you is that version.
Any questions for Mr. Darnell? Hearing none, thank you. We did have to sign up for the public hearing for item number 4. Was there anybody else that wanted to speak on one of these issues? I want to make sure on a public hearing we did not miss you. Thank you. Let the record show us someone that so speak. Thank you, Mr. Darnell. Resolutions, item number 4, amendments, all funds except schools. Mr. Hall.
From 2 weeks ago, you received highway and bridge amendments. That will be on the table tonight also. That's where we closed out the bridge fund into the highway fund. You had some general fund amendments also at that time. I will send you some more out Friday afternoon. And then I handed you out a bullet sheet tonight, which is 3 simple entries here: the sale of the property, the highway department to the schools for 2.5 million. We have other loans issued in the amount of $3.750 million. And that'll be paid back payments next year. We're paying it off next year, by the way. And then we also have the building purchase of the Eubank property for 6 million. So that also be included in the general fund. These are the only amendments that we have at this time, and we'll have some more next month to finish it out.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Any questions on those amendments?
Gotcha.
I know one of them we covered extensively last month, but 2 weeks ago, but I'll be glad to answer any questions on that about the Eubank property purchase. What we're doing is we're taking money from our fund balance initially, along with the money that the funds that the school is using to purchase highway department. To get the timing right, we have to do that, take it out of our fund balance initially. We don't have enough time to borrow the money to get it back in before the purchase date. But once we get the borrowing done on that next month, it'll replenish those funds. Any other questions or discussion? I'm sorry, you're right. Oh, the $250,000, we're borrowing additional 250 to do any work to finish out. There's no living quarters available for the ambulance service. And then inside the building where the office will be for highway department, there's some work in there. 250,000 is way too much, we think, but I want to ask for more than less because we're going to try and pay that loan off in about 6 months once we get the funds turned around. Thank you. Any other questions? Open the floor for a motion.
Disapprove this tonight.
Yes. We had a motion by Commissioner Laser, second by Commissioner McElwain. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, vote by stating aye. Opposed? Thank you. Item number. What? Okay. Is there any other no votes? Thank you. Let the record show. Number 2, resolution amendments, all school funds. Dr. Sutherland, Ms. Frazier, y'all pick.
Thank you, Mayor. Commission. Are there any questions on the resolution?
I know this was covered somewhat in the budget meeting, but this is the point where you do make that, if I vote does amend those funds at this point, then it'll be final. Motion by Commissioner Grove, second by Commissioner Gray. Any questions for Dr. Sutherland? Any discussion?
We've got are we approving the resolution amendment for the fund? Is this for the fund balance, them using the 15, or is this for their third quarter? I guess I'm confused.
This is the amendments on those funds to amend your budget. So it's not a third quarter financial report. This is actually moving the funds.
Okay.
There we both approved what you spent, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what the ask is on that.
Mhm.
And just one question.
Yes,
I guess in the resolution, you got section 1.
yes.
And then you've got those items. Is that the priority list going?
Those are the priority.
So
Well,
it's-
no, we haven't prioritized a list, but that section 1 is the larger items that we want to actually do. And then the second section are those reoccurring maintenance that you're going to see us use some of that money for, but you're also going to see that we're going to have money year after year to do painting, to do those type of things.
Yes, Commissioner.
When you start doing those projects, will you let us know the amount that each project has cost?
Yes.
I mean, you've got it on there as this project, but there's no money out there on the estimates on what the projects are going to actually cost by themselves.
I don't want to put those estimates, and I'll state why.
I think I know why. but
Yeah.
I'm after you've done that, after you've done it,
Yes.
I would like to know what each project.
If the board tells me that that's what I need to do, absolutely.
Thank you. Any other questions from Dr. Sutherland? We have a proper motion and second. There's no other questions. All in favor, vote by stating aye. Opposed? Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sutherland.
Thank you.
Next, you're still here, I think, quarterly financial reports, all school funds. These are the quarterly financial reports that she provided y'all 2 weeks ago. This is accept those. Do you have any questions for Dr. Sutherland? Motion by Commissioner Simpkins. Have a second. Who was that? Was that Commissioner Brett? Thank you. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, vote by stating aye. Opposed? Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Sutherland.
Thank you.
Item number 4, this is a resolution to set speed limit on public road known as Fagan Chapel. Whereas the boundaries of the county of Dickson, Tennessee lies in a public road known as Fagan Chapel that extends from State Highway 49 to the merger with Loggins Road. So to make sure on your agenda, it says Loggins Road, but this is both Commissioner Sheriff.
That's the one where we had the extremely low speeds. I think we're gonna reschedule after I get 2 more surveys on Loggins or Fagan Chapel
Okay, so we want to reschedule this.
to June.
If there's no objection, then we'll move this to the regular session on June 24th. Hearing no objection, it has been moved. Next speed limit is resolution set speed limit on public road known as Franklin Road.
Okay, Commissioner Simpkins asked me to run on Franklin Road, which Long Road we just dealt with last month. We ran a 5-day survey. The total number of vehicles surveyed on Franklin Road was 4,552. It's a lot of traffic. Give you a stat on Franklin from the intersection there at Rock Church Road, if you're familiar, to Steel Road. Franklin Road is just a little over a mile long. It has 16, may have a few more houses. I've seen extra mailboxes, but at least 16 driveways on that short section. The number of speeders, the current speed there is 45 miles an hour. The number of speeders in one direction was 127. The other direction was 172. The top speed was 87 miles an hour, one vehicle. This one jumped all over the board. However, the average speed, it was 31 in one direction, 34, but as y'all probably get sick of me hearing say this, that 85th percentile is typically what we take into consideration. One direction, 39 miles an hour, the other direction, 40 miles an hour. Current speed's 40, the 85th is below that, but with that short section and that many houses, I think you would be all right considering a 35 mile an hour speed limit on that section of road. Like I say, Long Road dumps into it, and there looks like a lot of wooded area. So I'm sure there's going to be more houses going up on that short section of Franklin. But that would be my recommendation, y'all's decision.
Commissioner Simpkins, is that your motion recommendation?
I'm good with that, yes.
Thank you. Have a second. Second by Commissioner McElwain. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, vote by stating aye. Opposed? Thank you. I will note that I did see some guilty faces when you said 87. Ms. Greer brought the number 6 before you 2 weeks ago. Resolution requests unclaimed balance of accounts remitted to state treasurer under Unclaimed Property Act. Open the floor for motion. Motion by Commissioner Petty, second by Commissioner Grove. Any questions from Ms. Greer? Hearing none, all in favor, vote by stating aye. Opposed? Thank you. Item number 7, resolution authorized mayor and or purchasing agent to enter into a health services agreement with Southern Health Partners Incorporated for inmate medical care at County Jail. Mr. Hall.
This is the recommendation of myself, Southern Health Partners right here for the jail. If you've got any questions, I'll do the best I can to answer those. Mayor may be able to input some, and we also have an advisor here. So, but this is a recommendation of me, acting as the purchasing agent.
Just a reminder, little historical facts. I think most of you remember by now, we had a private provider up until February of 2011. We went out and contracted with a company, which in this case was Southern Health Partners. We were paying over $1 million a year for services on that period of time. We've been, I guess I want to say we've averaged about $650,000 a year. We saved quite a bit of money on that. To the Sheriff's Department's credit, it's always good to go out and rebid these to make sure we're still getting the lowest and best. Because this was done, this was basically a reduction in cost of about $89,000 a year over what was being paid prior with the same provider. on this. Well, before we go too far, I want to thank Sheriff Eads and his team for working on this, along with Kyle Ruff, who's worked on this from day one, starting 13 years ago. His professional efforts in this, along with Brian Reagan, working with Mr. Hall to do this. It's a service that we're required to provide. There's a lot of movement in this, but it's better than what we were doing back in 2010 and 11, I can assure you. So any questions from myself, Mr. Hall, the sheriff, or Mr. Ruff, or Mr. Reagan? Be glad to open up the floor for them because they're all the experts. Yeah.
This is for information purposes, and you may say, I'll tell you afterwards. Is this the text that we got? We were supposed to call maybe if we had some questions. What happened there, I guess? Is that something you can talk about?
Yeah, I'll be glad to answer it because
I'd just like to know.
No, it's a good question. I'd be glad to answer it. The state of Tennessee sets up very defined ways we go about doing bids on things, requests for proposals, requests for qualifications. This was put out for bid. We have always honored that. I guess to carry a little further into it, I've only been to one bid opening, and I did it the very first one I was there because I want to see how it's done, because it's a business decision and that we try to take we don't try to take the politics out. We do take the politics out of it. Unfortunately, the company in question decided to come directly to you. I was not pleased that it circumvented the legal process we follow. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate you accepting my email, because we have to keep the integrity of a bid process there that we have, and not do that, not go different direction. And again, I appreciate someone wanting to get business and do a job very well, but we have a procedure we need to follow, and that's absolutely what we did. So thank you. I appreciate you asking that question. And that was incorrect information. Thank you. And again, we get some defined portions on that. The sheriff, Mr. Ruff, Mr. Reagan, and Mr. Hall, they'd be glad to walk you through that in details that there's people more qualified to talk about than me. So thank you. Did I get a motion in a second? Did we have a vote yet? I can't remember that. Okay, thank you. Get where I am sometime. Any questions or discussion? We do have a motion in a second. Oh, I haven't got a motion second. Motion by Commissioner Beatty, second by Commissioner Dawson. Now, any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, vote by stating aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Thank you, Mr. Hall. Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you, Mr. Ruff. Thank you, Mr. Reagan. Next item is Sheriff Department air sanitation system. The sheriff, because of some questions on that bid, he's asked to move that down to the June 24th meeting. So if there's no objection, we'll move that down. Next item is highway capital outlay note. Highway capital outlay note. This was a budgeted item where we bought some highway equipment. It was approved in the budget this year. We're just to the point now we're ready to borrow the money. The property, that equipment has been delivered. Open floor for a motion. Motion by Commissioner Spicer, second by Commissioner Williams. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, vote by stating aye. Opposed? Thank you. Item number 10 is the same thing, Emergency Management Agency capital outlay note. That's also things have been purchased. It was budgeted item that is now ready. The money's ready to be borrowed on that. Open the floor for a motion. Motion by Commissioner Spicer, second by Commissioner Gray. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, vote by stating aye. Opposed? Thank you. Item number 11. Resolution to abolish the office of constable in Dickson County, Tennessee at the end of the current term of office. Open the floor for any discussion or questions. Open the floor for a motion. Motion by Commissioner Groves, second by Commissioner Williams. Tonight's vote, this will also have to be a vote on 2 consecutive meetings, so it'll show back on June 24th per state law. Hearing no questions or discussion, all in favor, vote by stating aye. Opposed? Thank you. Item number 12, the Eubank property purchase. We've already amended the budget for that. Mr. Reagan, what are we doing at this point?
Right. So the budget simply puts the funds in there. What you're doing as a commission is you are authorizing the county to proceed with the purchase under that contract. And as you'll see in the resolution that was in your packet, it also includes that the county will move forward in working with, and you're giving the mayor and Mr. Hall the authority to negotiate, enter into a contract and close on a sale of the highway property to the schools. And so both of those things are within the resolution that you have in front of you.
Any questions or discussion? Open floor for a motion. Motion by Commissioner Petty, second by Commissioner Ledger. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, vote by stating aye. Opposed? Thank you. Next item of business is other business, amendment to Article 5, Section 5.042 R1 Residential District E, dimensional regulations by adding number 9 driveway standards. This is presented to you in the public hearing. Your vote tonight is to move this on to the June 24th meeting, requiring a second vote. Any questions or discussion on this item? This is the residential one.
Now, your residential is usually have bigger.
Thank you. Open the floor for a motion. Motion by Commissioner Williams, second by Commissioner Gray. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, vote by stating aye. Opposed? Thank you. Other business number 2, Article 5, Section 5.041 A1 Agriculture District E, dimensional regulation by adding number 8 driveway standards. Commissioner Simpkins, you have a motion to send this back?
Yes, I would have that re-looked at and come back.
Have a second. Thank you. Second by Commissioner Beatty. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, vote by stating aye. Opposed? Thank you. Item number 3, Amendment to Article 5, Section 5.050, Notice of Zone Change Applications. Open the floor for motion. Motion by Commissioner Gray, second by Commissioner Williams. Any questions or discussion? And anything you'd like to discuss, Mr. Darnell is still available to us if you want some more clarity on any of these. We have a proper motion second. Hearing no more discussion, all in favor, vote by stating aye. Opposed? Thank you. Item number 4, amendment to Article 3, Section 3.110, landscaping and buffer requirements D, amend Article. This should be actually A, amend Article 2, Section 2.020 by adding definition of native plants. B, amend the zoning resolution to add Appendix 1, approved native plants. C, amend the zoning resolution to add Appendix 2, prohibitive invasive plants. Open floor for a motion. Motion by Commissioner Gray, second by Commissioner Ledger. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Tell me more about this. Is this for maybe R1 stuff or this 5X? Where is this from?
Now, your landscaping, basically, if the site plan goes to the planning commission, which is usually your commercial, it's not your single dwelling family house that's going to have this. No, that really has nothing to do with the size of it. It's basically what requires a site plan. And if like when you have a different zone next to each other, you got to have a landscaping buffer to divide it. So you're not going to see that except, between the different zones. Yes.
They apply for this. They'll go back before the planning committee will actually.
The site plan does,
Site
yes.
plan.
This has to be included on what they're going to use, yes.
Yeah.
Commissioner Williams.
Excuse me, I don't mean.
No, go ahead, Commissioner
No,
Johnson. I'm sorry.
well, you have to have a license architect drawing and all that and everything?
Usually a surveyor or architect are the ones that do the site plans, yes.
Hey, Commissioner Williams.
I guess I got a hypothetical question. So let's say, for instance, the county's gonna go out there on this new ag center that we bought.
Mhm.
And would the county have to apply it?
It depends on what zoning it is that the ag center's in. Technically, that could be classified as agricultural use, A1 zone.
Okay.
So at that point, you wouldn't have to.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. Commissioner Gray.
And I just want to clarify this, there's already buffers and stuff in place in the plan.
Yes.
This is just saying
This
what
just
plan.
includes yes, this just tells you 50% or more have to be native plants. And now you got exactly what are the native plants.
And there's nurseries local that you can find these native plants. It's not
Yes.
like it's, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Checking on the sheriff there. Well, maybe he has some native plants he didn't want to get dug up. Any other questions or discussion on this item? We have a motion, a second on this. All in favor, vote by stating aye. Opposed? Thank you. Number 3 is R3 residential district revisions. Did you have any questions for Mr. Darnell before he gets seated? Oh, was there a no on the plants? Okay, thank you. Now, back to business, R3 residential district revisions. Any questions on that one?
So I'll make the motion and I appreciate the planning commission. I know this has went back 2 or 3 times, but I think it's really good. So thanks for the work on that.
The Danny Williams staff of approval. We appreciate that. Who would like to make a second? Second by Commissioner Brett. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, vote by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Item whatever number on approval of notaries, Madam Clerk.
Tina Bach, Stephanie Bilderback, Regina Cathy, Chelsea Cox, Whitney Deaton, Kimberly Fernandez, Brandy Gilliam, Daniel Hurst, Luann Martin, John Petty, James Sowell, Carol Talley, Calvin Whitehead, and David Yao.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Ledger, second by Commissioner McElwain. Any discussion? All in favor, vote by stating aye. Opposed? Thank you. Announcements. Got anybody having a birthday coming up? Well, I think we had some self-reporters on that last time, and we appreciate that. I don't have a singing voice tonight, so looks like we have to wait on July 5th and Mr. Petty to show up on us again. So we'll look forward to that. On the final announcement, anybody have any functions? Oh, Memorial Day service will be at the War Memorial Building at 10 o'clock on Memorial Day. I think that's the 27th. I hope you can attend. We have people, I know people got a lot of things to do on those days, and I absolutely understand it. But if you have a few minutes or an hour, I wish you would come by. And most importantly, if you can bring some younger people with you to let them understand, us old people that came behind World War II, Korean War, Vietnam. I know we've had battles, stuff like that, but the freedom we have today was earned by these people who gave that ultimate sacrifice. So if you can find an hour, please bring somebody with you. It's always a great service. It's well done every year. We have a lot of folks get involved in it. So I hope you can find time to come. 10 o'clock on Monday on Memorial Day. So please, if you're available, please show up. The next announcement will be on your book. It says about the Budget Committee and Budget Advisory Committee on June 3rd. That will not happen. Those will happen on June 24th. We will have a Budget Committee meeting at 6:30. We will have a work session. We're going to send out an email and get this resatisfied, because what we're basically having that day, we have to have a budget session first. We go into a regular meeting for June, and then we follow it with a July work session, because there's no July work session during July because it falls on the week of July 4th. So we'll be back on your third Wednesday in July, but I'll make sure Ms. Morris gets that out to y'all, just to remind you, because this is where we hit that little dip and flip there. Any other announcements before I make the last one? The next regular session meeting will be on Monday, June 24th. That is on the fourth Monday at 7 p.m. in the Beaverdale Booty Reed Jr. County Commission Chamber of the Dickson County Administration Building, Four Court Square, Charlotte, Tennessee. Motion second. Thank you.